This episode is brought to you by Prime Video. In the small town of Holland, Michigan, nothing is ever what it seems. Behind the tulip festivals and pretty houses lay dark secrets that threaten to tear a marriage apart. Nicole Kidman stars in this darkly twisted thriller about a wife and mother whose quest to uncover her husband's secrets may get her more than she bargained for. Holland, streaming on Prime Video March 27th.
At T-Mobile, our critical mission is providing unparalleled 5G coverage for when connectivity is mission critical. Introducing T-Priority, America's best 5G network experience for first responders, even in times of congestion. More capacity, faster speeds, better coverage. T-Priority from T-Mobile, built for tomorrow's emergencies, ready today. Discover more at t-priority.com.
For qualifying organizations on eligible rate plans, coverage not available in some areas and may be impacted by emergencies.
I actually don't know people that get their face shoved into their mistakes and learn. What I do know is that children and people can learn when you hold their heart and when you let them hold yours. And it's a tough mission, but it's worth it.
Welcome to Parent Footprint with Dr. Dan. I'm Dr. Dan. This show is about making the world a more loving, accepting, and compassionate place, one parent, one person, and one child at a time. The key to raising healthy and engaged kids is for us parents to seek the same in our own lives while striving to be the best versions of ourselves each day. No matter who you are or where you came from, with increased awareness, you can be purposeful about leaving a healthy footprint for your children, your family, and all those you care about, while living your own life to the fullest. Today's show is so aligned with what we stand for and what we talk about, and this amazing individual lives this. Today's show is My Everything, the parent I want to be, the children I hope to raise, with Einat Natan. Einat is a parenting expert, public speaker, and best-selling author, certified by the Adler Institute and Ministry of Education for parental instruction and group instruction. She also holds a bachelor's degree in law from Tel Aviv University. In recent years, she has begun to work the experience, insights, and knowledge accumulated into a significant breadth of work in the media, including TV morning talk shows and radio, a hit podcast, and popular columns on major newspapers and websites. Her book, Haim Sheli, in Hebrew, meaning My Life, was the national bestseller of the year across all categories in 2018 and is now recently published in North America under the name My Everything, the parent I want to be, the children I hope to raise. And guess what? It is now a #1 international bestseller as it's been translated into several languages beyond English: Dutch, Russian, Korean, Croatian, Turkish, and more, and many more to come. And finally, Einat lives in Tel Aviv with her husband and 5 children, everyone. 5. Einat, welcome to the show.
Oh my God, I'm so excited. You know, just by your intro, I think we can put it as a part of my book, right?
Yeah,
it has the same music.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's beautiful. I'm holding it here, everyone. It is a beautiful book that I cannot recommend more strongly. It is, as all of the reviews say, I mean, it's not your typical parenting book. It is a honest memoir infused with soulful, honest, authentic parenting expertise, but I want to say human expertise of this journey we're all on as individuals becoming parents who are also children and trying to reconcile how to be all of those at the same time.
I think this conversation is done. Let's just
drop the mic.
We're
done.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And you are so humble as you lay out your story as a daughter, your experience with your parents, and how that has shaped you. Your experience with pregnancies, which I'll let you share as you feel. You have had many, and also produced many children, and also again the humility of it's not till the end of the book that we learn more about your journeys as a parent of neurodiverse children as well. Just a little icing on the cake of the complexity of parenting.
Yeah, I guess the biggest lesson for me anyway, having my firstborn diagnosed with autism, was that every child has special needs.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And what a better preparation or rehearsal for the ego, or, for the fantasy,
Mm-hmm.
even,
Mm-hmm.
having children that will echo our greatness,
Mm-hmm.
and,
Mm-hmm.
you know, encountering life and
Yes.
figuring out this journey. I think that he's probably one of my best teachers,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And
honestly.
how you articulated the devastation or the immediate devastation of getting a label, um, or label or labels, and I've had that in my life as a parent as well, and that feeling as well, and the process of coming to realize your child is the same child that you always knew, with or without the label. It's the same child, and that label does say some things to explain some things, but in the end it's your same child, and you have to follow your parental instincts in terms of how to nurture this particular human.
I think that for me, it was, at least at the beginning of the journey, it was the opposite of my parental instinct.
Mm-hmm.
Seriously, because if I would have gone, with my instincts, quote unquote, I guess that it would have gone sideways in the matter of, just not having him meet any frustrations or protecting him from the world. And
Mm-hmm.
I guess I'm lucky that I figured out quite quickly that the best version of me for him is going to be a long journey by itself. It's this
Mm-hmm.
dialogue, the inner dialogue of the parent, and trying to figure out how the choreography of this dance is going to look like for today
Mm-hmm.
and next week, and,
Mm-hmm.
just as we go along.
Well, and the challenge of trusting one's instincts and also listening to professionals, because as you explained, and which is so common, particularly within the intervention, what is considered often best practices, common practices for autism, is a very behavioral approach with lots of different types of therapies. And that does work for
Yeah,
some kids
it
on the
didn't work
spectrum,
for
and
me.
it doesn't work for many, right? And you knew that. And that takes courage to say to these people who are experts that, no, we're going to do something different.
Yeah, I think that was the instinct that kept me safe. And when I was safe, I could be a better version of myself for him.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So for that matter, yeah, the instinct was there, and it was quite clear from the beginning, of just experimenting with everything the world has to give you in terms of, how to manage. I think it's the equivalent of two careers, having, this time frame of a child who's young enough for you as a parent to help him,
Mm-hmm.
learn and maturate, and then with this time frame, just trying to keep it cool and being in connection with all these parts, the part that's mine, that's mourning the loss of the fantasy, the part of me being a parent to a firstborn after I've waited so many years to being a
Mm-hmm.
mother. It was like,
Mm-hmm.
it was like candid camera. It was like someone was playing a joke.
Mm-hmm.
uh,
Mm-hmm.
and the part of figuring it out with my partner, with my husband,
Mm-hmm.
who was in complete denial. uh, and then the journey with him.
Right. Right. It's the word I was thinking of as I was reading your book was the acknowledgement of messy. Like life is messy. Life is like the embracing messiness. And I wanted to share with you because I was thinking of there is a in Northern California an Israeli psychologist who's I've learned from for years, Dr. Ofer Zur, and he has lots of trainings that he puts on. But he used to do most of them himself when I was an early psychologist. So, 25 years ago. And I'll never forget, it was a course on ethics, training on ethics. And he said, I think it's easier for me as an Israeli to talk about ethics because Israelis know that life is messy, that things happen, and things don't always work out the way they're supposed to. At any given moment, life can change. And he said, and you Americans, you like everything really clean and nice and in a box, and it doesn't work that way. And it has stuck with me. And reading your book, and the Israeli connection, and I heard that, I felt that, and I was wondering, is that your experience to some degree?
I'm going to talk now as a mom. I think that one of my goals as a mother to 5 children is to have them uh, develop in the way that they are able to spot and communicate and feel all the messiness that we carry inside. I think that when you really raise people, and you can't do it without being that creature yourself, right? We
Right,
all know
right.
that. But when you look or dive into this mission of not seeing the world in black or white,
Mm-hmm.
of having all shades of gray in the thought process, in taking accountability, in knowing what you feel, in being able to live with contradiction
Yeah.
emotions, and That's the definition. That's the definition of mess, right?
Yeah.
And I think that for us, for me as a mother, to raise resilient kids is exactly that.
Mm-hmm.
Is the ability to check in with yourself and look at the messy corners and embrace the messiness of every moment in life, and
Mm-hmm.
to be able to communicate it,
Mm-hmm.
because we're social creatures and we always need the help of other people.
Mm-hmm.
So it's this is one of the top missions. And I think, I was thinking about it just last week, that people don't, we as adults, we sit in restaurants or we do meetings or we talk with friends, and we don't talk about the messiness.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the most interesting thing in life. Oh my god, it's this is the part where I want to stay in the conversation. This is the part
Mm-hmm.
where I feel significant. This is the part where I feel authentic and I feel close to someone. This is the part where I feel closer to myself. And we live in this world where, now I'm going to be a counselor for a second, where I
Mm-hmm.
meet young parents every day, and they want a recipe, or they want to know what to do when a child is acting like this, or exactly what words to say when something happens. And
Mm-hmm.
these type of questions, it's a compass for, because when the conversation deepens,
Mm-hmm.
and I begin to ask them, because there's no recipe, right?
Right. Right.
Where does it meet you? How do you feel? Let's zoom out. They can't speak it.
Mm-hmm.
There's a new generation that is talking in bumper stickers, that is, maybe it's social media, maybe it's,
Yeah.
like the
Yeah.
true and honest conversations that we as adults are, you know, courageous enough to talk with ourselves and with our partners and with our friends, and they're gone.
Yeah.
Where did they go?
I don't know if we can blame it all on social media, but I do feel, as you allude to in the book, like all the images and whether you're a teen or an adult, of like how your life is supposed to look, and it's really this it's a pull towards perfection at the expense of authenticity, of realness, and of probably true honesty. So I do think it's harder to sit down and to find the people that you can feel close enough or trust enough to
But the
tell the
paradox is
truth.
that But the paradox is that everyone wants to be happy, right? We have
Hmm.
so many books. We have
Yes.
so many. We want to raise happy children. How do you
Hmm.
raise happy children?
Hmm.
How can you raise happy children if you're if you're attached so much to the
Right.
idea of your perfect picture? It doesn't matter if it's
Right.
your perfect picture as, what people think about you, or what you think about yourself, or professionally, or career wise, or in the parenting area, or even, when we fight with each other. my husband and I.
Yeah.
Or when my children fight, I want to raise children that won't be alarmed when they feel negative emotions, when they fight with loved ones, when they will have to explain without pointing a finger, when they will. I think that's happiness. Being able to talk with yourself, to ask yourself, how are you doing? You know,
Mm. Mm.
and and to check that out, and then maybe you can ask with a different music, with a different look in your eyes, Dan, how are you doing?
Mm-hmm.
And you know, children are, they have this seismograph.
They do.
You know, when they ask them, when you ask them, how was your day? They can take out the fun card or the great or everything's fine, or, but when you lean in the right moment, you know, not facing them in the back of the car or doing something, meanwhile, when you sit by their bed, no matter how old they are, by the way,
Mm-hmm.
and you say, no, really, how are you?
Mm-hmm.
This is
And
for me the
yeah,
key
yeah.
to happiness.
Mm-hmm. And well, one of your last chapters, titled "Yes, My Love," is a lot about, wrapped up in what you just said, right? To actually, Mom, yes, my love, like to be there present as much as possible. And everyone who's listening, the other reason you're going to fall in love with Einat when you read her book is she is so non-perfectionistic and she is so open with her toughest and darkest moments. And when she would not give herself an A for the exchange, it's so real, and how hard it is because of, I think, all the noise, all the chatter, all the busyness, all the fear, which I want to talk about, the parental fear, to just look at your child and say, yes, my love, and be focused on them without all of that other stuff. It's not easy to do.
No, it's not. But I think that it's important for me that the message that will come across would not be the expectation of every parent, you know, whenever they get a call or whenever they're in the presence of their children, to be the yes, my love kind of parent. It begins with our ability to, you know, to be compassionate about our oxygen mask, or, you know, our messiness. And
Mm-hmm.
just when we are able to do that, I think that this is the exact thing that allows us the mechanism of leaning in and, you know, cherishing the small moments,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and just deciding I want to be that person in that child's life. I want that child to say when he's 40 or 35, I grew up in a home that always saw my strength, always believed in my powers, even when I didn't, that I could, you know, pick up the phone or come back from the battle in the jungle outside,
Mm-hmm.
make mistakes, and get that positive narrator
Mm-hmm.
inside my ears. It doesn't have to be words, you know? It
Right.
doesn't have to be words. It's a state of mind that makes parenting so much easier because we're so distracted with what to do and what to say and that we forgot, the basics of love.
If I were to distill a few themes, there are many. One is connection, connecting with your child, with that loving relationship. And another theme that spoke to me was encouragement. And one of the things that I loved and many loved about your book is that it's not jargony. It's not about do this, do this, do this, do this. This is called this, is called this. The one term you allude to is positive parenting, and you just used the word positive, so I thought of it. And other than that, it's really about being honest with yourself. Like you said, the oxygen, like who am I in this moment and what's coming into this moment, and putting my fears aside to listen to my child, to affirm my child, to encourage my child, and ultimately to be an honest human with my child, to teach them how to be an honest human.
Yeah, but sometimes, I guess you'll agree, I wonder what you have to say. Sometimes the first battle or the first fight is the fight that we need to engage with our autopilot, right? Because we tend to give or to hear much louder criticism, or to see what doesn't work, or to think by mistake that our job is to correct and to reprimand and to be these people, everyone's talking about authority or about boundaries or about, the parental front, or even the vocabulary of war. It's not about that. It's about taking a brave decision every day. For me, it's every day because I grew up differently. So we're fighting also with, the footprint of our parents.
Yes.
So it's taking that decision every day, waking up and saying to yourself, this is not how it's supposed to be. No one, I actually don't know people that, get their face shoved into their mistakes and learn.
Right.
What I do know is that children and people can learn when you hold their heart and when you let them hold yours. And it's a tough mission, but it's worth it.
This episode is brought to you by Honda. Introducing the all-new, all-terrain Honda Passport Trail Sport, the most off-road capable Honda Passport Honda has ever dreamt up. The Passport features increased ground clearance, roof rails on all trims, and available specially developed all-terrain tires. And you'll stay comfortable with tri-zone climate control and available features like heated and ventilated front seats and a panoramic moonroof. Learn more at honda.com/passport.
This podcast is supported by Progressive, a leader in RV insurance. RVs are for sharing adventures with family, friends, and even your pets. So if you bring your cats and dogs along for the ride, you'll want Progressive RV insurance. They protect your cats and dogs like family by offering up to $1,000 in optional coverage for vet bills in case of an RV accident, making it a great companion for the responsible pet owner who loves to travel. See Progressive's other benefits and more when you quote RV insurance at Progressive.com today. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Pet injuries and additional coverage and subject to policy terms.
Empower. Claire is practicing her breathing for her upcoming yoga retreat in Bali.
Has she ever done yoga before? No. But Claire worked with Empower on her savings and investment strategy. She got good at money, so she can be a little bad. Empower. Invest well, live a little. Join our 19 million customers today at empower.com.
Past performance is not indicative of future returns. Investing involves risks. You may lose money. Advisory services are provided for a fee by Empower Advisor Group, LLC, EAG, a registered investment advisor with the Securities and Exchange Commission. Om Namaste.
You, in your own way, take not take on, but take a different, obviously, approach with positive parenting to the authoritarian parent that many have grown up with, based on generation and based on culture and an intersection of both. It still goes on today. And we know from the research over and over and over, what kids do learn is if it works, quote, works, you learn to be compliant and fearful and not trust yourself, to be overgeneralized there, right? Like you do learn something, but you don't necessarily learn that that feeling of security, that feeling of safety, that resilience that you talk about in terms of I can speak my mind and I can show my emotion and it's going to be okay. Right. And through a relationship, which doesn't always is not always tranquil or harmonious with the parent and child, but through that messy relationship and those discussions where sometimes it goes well and other times it doesn't go well and we need to regroup. But that's where it is. That's where life is. And as you say, like, that's where the opportunity for happiness comes from this real living, like the realness of it all.
Totally. And I think that what you said about, some of these methods work and they do learn things. I'm not sure, because it's not only the house being a safe place. It's not only that. It's I guess I would call it the inner equation of, being authentic and allowing all these voices and emotions and regrets and, doing it over and over and over again with yourself, with others, and, giving yourself a break and giving others break and compassion. And it all comes with the ability to be authentic. And I think that we as parents, we were willing to do everything for our children, right? Except to accept them for who they are. So we get all these, small boxes of surprises or chocolates or whatever, and we try to mold them into something, I don't know what. And we miss out on the agriculture, is that the right word? Of love, of seeing this thing grow. And we all know that as a parents, you can put in the ground, in the soil, you can put in carrot seeds and you will never see carrots. You will see peas, or you will see, something with a throne or whatever. But, being that person that is committed to having sprinkles, to check, yourself and them for this, enabling environment of being authentic on one side, and being able to function or to have motivation in this world, because I'm not disconnected. We're raising children in a super hard and judging and successful and whatever world.
Mm-hmm.
And we all want the number one trophy or horse or race horse or whatever it is. We
Mm-hmm.
want it for them. Do we? Do we?
Right.
Do we? Is
Right.
that happiness? They're not our
Well,
business card. They're not our social
no,
media
yeah.
card. They're not.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I think that's the thing. One of the other things that really hit home, as you write about, our kids are not our calling cards or our business cards, and yet it does seem like there is this strong connection with our perception of, if my kids are doing well, then I'm a good parent, and if my kids are struggling, this is not a good reflection on me. And wow, I mean, to separate from that, I do think it takes a lot of awareness and courage to separate from that. And your example with your maybe your second son, who is a very bright mathematician with some other neurodiverse learning challenges, and you say, he might not pass this grade or graduate, but I'm certain he's going to be he's an awesome human being, because that we choose to focus on these things, and we choose not to focus on fights over tutoring and fights over academics and fights over grades. And by choosing, not acquiescing, but by choosing, you have confidence in the person he's becoming. And it's not a reflection on you.
Definitely. And I think it's a problematic sentence, right? Because, I see children of others all the time, friends of my children, and we all fall or go down this road of, looking at a child and saying, show me the parents, I get everything. It's the child is stepping out of this house. No wonder that he's behaving like, we all go there. But I think that the punch or the thing is that when we let this go, the need of them to represent us or to echo our greatness or whatever it is, when we let that go, and when we focus on parenting, on being there for them, on making these hard decisions, because you don't have a sliding door. You can do it twice. And when we focus on that, eventually they do make a really nice business card or calling card. So it's kind of saying this and then saying the opposite. And I think that you were mentioning my second child, he of course, he was born 2 years after my firstborn, which was diagnosed with autism. And for the beginning of, when he was a toddler, we were, oh my God, this is how it's supposed to be. Mm-hmm. He was perfect. He was the perfect. I can't describe the experience in words. And when he began elementary school and the teachers began to, say, maybe you should get him diagnosed, he's having a hard time. And I was protecting that, I was saying to myself, no, it's not happening. It's not happening. You're missing. He's perfect. Please don't touch my perfect child. And it was just when he began, having a hard time going to school or being sad or not being, this amazing ball of fire and love for life that he was, when I checked and, I said, again, it's not about you. You take that child and you figure it out. We'll figure it out. And when we got that, folder or of, all the learning disabilities or whatever you call it today, I don't want to offend anyone.
Yes.
I drew from my memory, a scene of, he was, I think 4, and he was playing in the kitchen with, plastics, and he was holding a big strainer. I was doing something in the kitchen, as mothers do. And he was saying, "Mommy, do you know how many holes the strainer has?" It was a really large one, by the way. And I stopped, cutting the salad or whatever I was doing. And I said, "How many, darling?" And he said a very large number for a 4-year-old to say. He said 372 holes. And I was saying, "Oh my God, how do you know such a big number? How can you say such a big number? Wow, you're so, smart." After they went to sleep,
You counted.
I asked about, I told him, "Do me a favor. Please don't laugh at me. Just tell me how many holes are in the strainer." And he counted. And the legend, my legend, said that there were 372 holes. And I'm sitting with this boy, with this amazing boy, and I'm telling him this story, that from a very early age, me and his father, we knew that he had something special. He could see numbers and taste numbers, and it doesn't apply, with grades or, in his workbook, but we know. And I'm asking him, what do you say that will get you a private teacher that will help with this talent of yours? And, I remember he has that big smile with his blue eyes, and he nods and says yes. And then comes David, which plays ball with him and talk numbers. And, they look at trees and they talk about numbers, and slowly the happiness returns and he's going better to school. And, when he comes home and says, "Mom, I didn't forget my literature book." And I know he forgot 8 others,
Right.
And I choose to fight these 8 others that I know, and I'm really getting excited about this one book. And I'm saying to him, if you can tell to yourself, and then maybe to me, how you manage to remember this one book, maybe next week you'll remember 2. And I'm not talking about the 8. So it's slow steps of, this is encouragement, by the way.
Yes.
Because it's
Right. Well, it's strength-based, Anat. It's so strength-based because so many of us in that same situation would say, "Okay, it's okay, honey. We are going to get you a reading tutor and a writing tutor, and his joy came back when you introduced someone to enhance his natural talents and interest.
You know what he
Right.
does today?
Huh.
He's 20 years old. Of course, he started his degree in university in math when he was 16.
Mm-hmm.
He was struggling with all the others and even with math because it never, his results were never the same as his talent.
Mm-hmm.
But he chose to take one morning a week and to teach math in the elementary school that he went to children that struggle. And these 10 children are waiting for him every Wednesday morning.
Mm.
So who is helping who? I don't
Yeah.
know.
Yeah. Yeah. I have a big question for you. Two big questions, even before the parent footprint moment question. Who is the parent you want to be?
I don't think that there is, one big answer. I think that the parent I want to be is staying curious and deciding, every moment who is the parent I want to be and having, compassion to myself when I'm not this parent,
Mm-hmm.
and just having the privilege of being. I think my answer is I want to be. I want to be with my children. I don't want to take them places. I don't want them to accumulate, these memories of trips or, things that they buy. I want to get bored with them. I want to do nothing with them. I just want to be. That's the parent I want to be.
Hear that, everyone? Just be. And who are the children you hope to raise?
I think that the people they choose to become. I think that I'm raising these people. And there are days that, I use my humor to look at this, house of messiness and disappointment and, is this the teenage girl you hope to raise? Are these the children? Hell no. But hell yes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I don't check with this pulse every second. I think the recipe is that when we choose to be, when we stop being these people that, need to get somewhere or to get something done or, when we stop this race inside us and, between us and them, it begins, it's much easier.
Mm-hmm. Who they choose to become, and us having as parents the wisdom and awareness and fallibleness and mistakes to do our best to raise them in a way where they can become who they are to become.
Yeah, and I don't believe, that I'm raising snowflakes and they're so special and they're going to change the world. I think that if they have a sense of agency of being able to change their world, wow, I've done
Yeah.
my share. I've done my share.
And that feels a little more palatable and doable to think about raising a child to be able to impact their world as opposed to the entire world. And you have repeated messages in your words and in the book about us just being human and us giving ourselves a break and allowing ourselves to be the child with the adult parents or mourning the loss of our parents who aren't with us at the same time we're trying to be an adult and be ourselves while raising one child up to many children in a much more complex world, as you write, than you and I were raised in.
Sometimes I wonder. I wonder about, the simplicity, so-called, that, parenting, our grandmothers, they didn't need to take classes or, read books. And even raising children within a tribe or a village, the cliche is right? It takes a village. They didn't read books because there was the wise grandmother, or there was, the neighbors or the community. We don't know our neighbors. We just, expect ourselves, two people inside, if we're successful, a place of our own, the walls of our house, to figure it out and to excel in this mission, and to have all these balls in the air, and to have a career, both sides, and equality. Fathers are players. And wow, it's,
It's a lot.
it's a lot. It's a lot.
Yeah.
And then having all these experts, talking from a pedestal and making you feel like there was either something wrong with you or your children.
Yeah.
It's a it's a kind of, I think that my mission is to be in the trenches with them, and not act out as if I were in the trenches. It's having that honesty or authenticity, or I don't know how you call it, to to talk the messiness and the struggles of being a parent, and still, give accessible information, or, at least put a question mark or three dots after a sentence. They all talk with exclamation marks. It's everything is too clear.
Right. Too clear and simple. As a psychologist, before I had children, I always tell people my job felt way easier because I had all the answers and I just needed to tell parents what to do and how to behave. And then these certain behaviors would happen or not happen. It just felt so simple. And it's not accurate, of course. And then you have your own people that come out into the world and you realize, oh my God, there is so much at play here that I have so little control over or influence on. And this is a whole nother ballgame in reality.
Wow. Wow. And, you know, at the end of the day, we do have influence. We have so much influence. And we have a different kind of control than, you know, the control of the anxiety or the control of the fantasy of raising people that will just do what I say. Is it's so important, you know, not to go down this road of, you know, hell, we don't have, you know, control over anything, or we do. I believe that we do. It's just sometimes it's the opposite. Sometimes it's the opposite, you know? Do you know when you have a toddler who's walking for the first time with a glass of water and he insists on doing that, and you know you're not breathing until he gets with this glass to the next stop, and suddenly the glass spills. The first thing, the autopilot, the first thought will be, I knew it, right? And when we have a child that comes home with an A in math test, the first thought or sentence that comes to mind is, I can't believe it. And it's supposed to be the opposite, doesn't it? Right. It's supposed to be, right?
Yeah.
It's supposed to be, you know, not I knew it when the glass spills. And I think that's the new control.
So much more to talk about. However, it is time. I had 5 questions going through my head all at once,
God.
and I'm like looking at our
believe-
time. It's late in Tel Aviv, and you're so kind to spend your evening with us.
I can tell you, by the way, from the future, it's a nice day. It's
Greetings from the future. It's going to be a lovely day.
Yeah.
Which you say with a lovely smile. All right. I'm looking forward to my day, which is just getting going. And I would love if you would share your parent footprint moment with us. Are you ready?
Don't make that introduction because, you know.
You got this. You got this. So let me ask you the question for you to
ponder.
I say,
okay. You know, I'm like a child where the parents, you know, tells him, when you tell him you need to pick the red glass or the blue glass. Which one do you want? Well, I want them both, or the third one, right?
Yes.
That's the first lesson in control.
Exactly.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay. Tell us about a time that you became aware of yourself as an individual or an awareness of your children as a parent, or you had an awareness of your own parents. And that new awareness of yourself in any of these capacities, that new awareness had a positive impact on your life, your kids, and or those you love.
And I have to pick one? Okay.
No, you don't have to. You don't have to.
I'll say a couple of thoughts that comes to mind. I think the first one would be having this amazing enlightening of being a parent to myself, in this sliding door of life, when I parent or when I'm in control or when I am this version in moments in time, for my children, I get the sense of all this inner child inside of me getting to experience me as a parent, getting to experience I think that it even reflects on memories. So this opportunity of having a second go, instead of being a victim or instead of, trying to figure out why I'm so critical or perfectionist or, all the struggles that we have in life. Just, having this, having yourself being devoted to being a parent for them and taking a big inhale and saying, after a good talk or after an apology or after, this privilege of, I remember then when my first book came out, I had a, an active clinic for years and I was in love with my profession and I was talking about it. And my father is so close to me. And I never heard the words, "I'm proud of you." And when this first book became this phenomenon, I don't know until today how it happened, like bestseller across all genres. And, and I began to get that media attention and he began to, have his friends talk about it. I think there was a moment when he said, "I'm so proud of you." And I felt rage because I have the privilege of being a mother to 5 imperfect children and to tell them how much I'm proud of them. And it doesn't have to be a bestseller. And it doesn't have to be in the media. And it doesn't, I'm proud of them. In these tiny moments in time, for them being them or for them overcoming something that nobody in the world cares about. And it's just one example,
Yeah.
And I think that through that, I was holding myself as a child as well. And I was having this correction with this inner critic or, inner voice. And I think the second one, I'll make it short, don't worry, because I have, 31. We can go on and on. But if I have to choose, I think that the thought of the house, my house, A house is a physical thing. You see the walls, and you enter a house, and you know something about it. There's something in the air, in the atmosphere. I can look at the small window of, I don't know what it is, your clinic or and I know something about you. And the thought that I had, that if the walls of my house could talk and write the story of my family, of our family, what would they write? What are these tiny atoms that you can't even describe in words, that are not, an educating method, or that are mess and humors and, loving to eat together and, talking about everything, even when it sucks. And I started to think, what would the diary of the walls would be? And it had that effect. It had an effect on me, remembering or even looking at the walls sometimes when I'm down, when I'm not this house that I like. Don't write this in your dictionary. Don't. And then, getting a grip and making it all half work together, or making a joke over it not working, or,
Yeah.
So this would be my second one.
So much in those. The complexity and yet the simplicity and the realness of it all. And the quest for authenticity, to be in these moments, and we need to add to be proud of our kids for who they are, not what they do and achieve, but just who they are.
Yeah, it's not the dictionary proud, by the way. We need a word for that. Right? Is there a word in English for that?
I do. I'm going to think on that, because I always use proud as well, but I understand there's that's a delicate word when used.
It's not a trophy proud.
Yeah, it's not a trophy proud, right?
Yeah.
It's I could do it with my hand here, like hand over heart, like patting my heart. It's like when you just are trying to convey this feeling of.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. All right, we're going to work on that word. Maybe do you have one in Hebrew?
No.
Okay. We'll collaborate on a new word.
Good luck with that.
Yeah, right. Einat, thank you so much.
Can I thank you so much for this safe space, and for the way that you nod and you listen, and for the words that, reflect in your eyes. And I could go on for hours. And it's so not taking for granted. It's such a gift. So thank you for that.
Well, thank you for your words. And I was fortunate for you to have sent me your book a while back, and I've just been, in it and waiting for this conversation, and felt like many that I knew you from reading your book, and You are everything that is in your book, and more when one gets to experience you in real time, and amazingly from across the world. And still, it can be such an intimate connection.
Yeah,
So thank you.
it's
Yeah,
wow. It's
yeah.
so overwhelming.
Let everyone know. There's so much. I mean, there you have your website with and a lot of your media and your videos, and you have books. People can get this. They can have 10 copies in 10 different languages. Where should people look to find
Oh
your
my God,
book?
I'm so bad at these things. I think that I think that in the website of the book.
Yeah,
I
the
believe
website.
in people.
Yeah,
If
they'll
they want
find
to
it.
find
They'll
something,
find it.
yeah, I'm out
They'll
there,
find it.
people. Just
Everyone,
find me.
you'll see this. Find her by her name, find her by her book. I'm holding it. My everything, the parent I want to be, the children I hope to raise, by Einat Natan. Beautiful. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dan. Such an honor. Thank you.
Community, thank you for listening. I know you're going to share this with everyone you know, because what an awesome conversation with wisdom, with so much wisdom and authenticity and integrity. You know what I'm going to ask you to do. Do your best to be that person you want your child to become. And ask yourself the guiding question I ask myself each day: what footprint do you want to leave? This has been a Peters and Rossi production. Parent Footprint with Dr. Dan is produced by Laura Rossi. Our engineer is Phil Rossi. Theme music is Strummerman, composed and performed by ProTunes. Artwork is by Garrett Ross. Follow us on Instagram and Facebook at Parent Footprint Podcast, and on Twitter at Dr. Dan Peters. For more information, go to exactlyrightmedia.com.